So first, we have the adventure tourism. It's a type of tourism involving exploration or travel to remote, exotic, and possibly hostile areas where traveler can expect the unexpected. So why expect the unexpected? Kasi it involves physical activity, cultural interaction, and engagement with nature. So next form of tourism is the agritourism. Agritourism or farm tourism refers to the activity of visiting a working farm for the purpose of enjoyment, education, or active involvement in operation that adds to the economic viability of the site. So what could be done in agritourism? First, we have picking of fruits, milking of cows, shear sheep, ride carabaos, sample wines, pet animals, rodeos, and musicals. So agritourism, it is the farm tourism. It does not involve just the plants but also the animals. The next form of tourism is the archaeotourism or the archaeological tourism, an alternative form of cultural tourism which aims to promote the passion for historical archaeology and the conservation of historical sites. Next is the art tourism. Focuses on exposure to different forms of art like paintings, sculpture, and other forms of art. So art tourism can be the art gallery or the exhibitions. The next is the atomic tourism. Tourists travel to significant sites of atomic history. Next, bookstore tourism. Cultural tourism that promotes independent bookstores as a group travel destinations. The next form of tourism is the cruise. It's a holiday on a ship. It's a unique form of tourism because the ship provides transportation and accommodation, are equipped with a variety of amenities for the relaxation and entertainment. Good spots for cruise: Caribbean, Mediterranean, Scandinavia, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and Okinawa. So pagdating naman sa cruise, it is a floating city in which nandun na lahat ng kailangan mo. Every sports nandun, every hotels, restaurants, shopping malls, lahat nandun na. All you need is the money. The next is the cultural or heritage tourism. It's tourism that focuses on culture and cultural environments, including landscapes of the destination, the values and lifestyles, heritage, visual and performing arts, industries, traditions, and leisure pursuit of the local population and host community. The next is the disaster tourism. Involves visiting areas that have been affected by floods, hurricanes, volcanic eruption, etc. So these types of tourism is yung mga naapektuhan ng mga masasamang kalamidad. So pumupunta ang mga turista para kamustahin ang bawat tao doon or kung ano yung kalagayan nila. Or kung may matutulong sila, binibigyan na rin nila. The next is the domestic tourism. People who travel and stay overnight within the boundaries of their own country. So these are the tourists in which they stay for 24 hours or above in the same country, in our own country, or in their own country. The next is the festival tourism. An example of cultural tourism are fiesta and festivals, which showcases spiritually, creativity, and hospitality. So from the term itself, fiesta and festivals, so different festivals in different towns or cities. The next is the culinary tourism. The four includes food sampling for main meals, and the snacks complemented by the sightseeing and photo opportunities. So dito pumapasok yung mga cooking contests, cooking competition, food sampling, food exhibition, food caravans. The next is the extreme tourism. Travel to the native societies, ghettos, jungles, and urban areas. Includes activities such as mountaineering, bungee jumping, rafting, rock climbing, zip lining, and trekking. So kung si adventure tourism, you need to expect the unexpected. Sa extreme tourism is you need the lakas ng loob. Kailangan mo ng matibay na loob. Kasi it involves such extreme activity in which parang yung sinasabi natin pamatay hininga na. It is the travel to dangerous places. So the next is the ethnic or ethnotourism. Travel to observe a country's native people without the intent of scientific gain. Travelers choose to experience the practices of other culture. So pagdating naman dito sa ethnotourism, it is the tourists observe the life and the culture or the practices, the beliefs and traditions of the native people without the intent na gagamitin mo lang siya sa research, sa isang project, or you just need an output. Then next is the drug tourism. Travel for the purpose of obtaining or using drugs for personal use that are unavailable or illegal in one's home. Next is garden tourism. Visits or travel to botanical gardens and places significant to the history of gardening. The next is the religious tourism. Pilgrimage is a journey to a sacred place or shrine of importance to a person's belief of faith. So dito naman nangyayari yung mga activities which involves in different types of religion in which nagaganap or nangyayari yung pananampalataya ng bawat tao sa kanilang iba't ibang religion. The next is the educational tourism. It's another form of cultural tourism. It's a form of travel involving organized learning, usually for students not actively seeking a degree in for more than a year. So ito yung mga nangyayari sa mga estudyante ngayon, lalo sa mga college student. The educational tour in which pumupunta sila sa iba't ibang klase ng lugar para malaman nila kung anong meron doon at para ma-experience nila yung kagandahan ng isang tourist destination. The next is the Aboriginal Tourism. It's a kind of tourism where tourists come into contact with native communities. Aboriginal tourism provides the public with a consenting contact with native people and or interpretation of their culture and land. So dito sa Aboriginal tourism, nangyayari yung a tourist or a person goes to a native communities para makita or para obserbahan kung ano ba yung kultura na nangyayari or kulturang pinangahawakan ng isang native community na yun. Tapos, they will interpret it to the public with the consent of the native people. The next is event tourism. All other cultural activities can be subsumed by event tourism. This includes fair ceremonies, commemorations, concerts, competition, sports events, expositions, games, jubilees, parties, and parades. So kapag sinabi natin event tourism, yung mga malalaking event na nangyayari sa isang lugar, sa isang bansa, or sa isang city, town, or whatever place. The next is the heritage tourism. Traveling to experience the places, artifacts, and activities that authentically represent the stories and people of the past and present. Next is the music tourism, act of visiting a city or town in order to see a gig or festival. Next is the dark tourism, a special branch of heritage tourism. Travel to sites of black tourism or grief tourism, crash sites, abandoned prisons or hospitals, dungeons, or killing sites. The next is the historical tourism. It's a kind of tourism that focuses on the historical sites and places. Next is the LGBT tourism. It's a form of niche tourism targeted at gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender. Next is ecotourism. Environmental responsible travel and visitation to relatively undisturbed natural areas in order to enjoy and appreciate nature. So kapag sinabi natin ecotourism, ito yung pangangalaga sa ating environment or sa ating ecosystem. Next is the nature tourism. It's all about turning a natural resource into a tourism attraction and making money out of it. So next is the gaming tourism, dedicated to gambling. So pumupunta sila ng mga casinos, malalaking pasugalan, just to gamble. Next is the health tourism, maintaining or improving one's health condition. So pumupunta sila or nagta-travel sila sa isang lugar just to maintain their health condition para lang magpagamot kasi hindi na kaya doon sa kanilang lugar. The next is the international tourism, traveling across national boundaries or overseas. So ito yung sinasabi natin traveling outside the country, not less than or not more than 1 year. The next is the nautical tourism, combined sailing and boating with vacationing and travel. So it is the travel under the sea. The next is the polar tourism, travel to the polar regions. Next is the pop culture tourism, traveling to locations featured in literature, film, music, or any other form of popular entertainment. So ito yung type of tourism in which pumupunta ang turista sa mga lugar na mga pinangyarihan or ginamit sa isang pelikula, sa isang pangyayari sa TV, or different types of entertainment na ating napapanood. The next is the poverty tourism or the tourism. Similar to slumming, travel to less developed places to observe people living in poverty. Next is the war tourism. Refers to travel to war zones for the purpose of sightseeing and the liberated culture shock, a form of extreme tourism. So, hindi ito masyadong pinapupuntahan sa mga turista kasi baka meron pang mga natirang mga bomba or mga explosive devices dun sa isang lugar na yon na baka biglang pumutok na maraming tao mapunta. So, marami pang turista ang mapapahamak. So, it is a limited place for the tourists. The next is the wine tourism. Travel for the purpose of tasting, consumption, or purchase of wine. So, this type of tourism is for the purpose of wine developing, consumption, or kung ikaw ay bibili lang ng wine. Para makita mo kung paano ba ginagawa ang wine or kung paano siya nakukonsume or paano siya nabubuo. The next is the sex tourism. Tourists visit areas to seek pleasure in sexual activity. Next is the shopping tourism. Primary objectives is to shop. The next is the space tourism. Tourists paying for space travel. So, nagbabayad sila ng malaking amount just to travel in space. Gusto nila makarating outer space, so they need to pay a big amount. The next is the sport tourism. All forms of active and passive involvement in sporting activity, participated in casually or in an organized way for non-commercial reasons that necessitate travel away from home and work locality. So, dito pumapasok yung mga sports competition within the town, city, or outside the province or outside the community and outside the country. Then next is the urban tourism, the set of tourist resources or activities located in towns and cities and offered to visitors from somewhere else. So, kung gusto mo ng magulong lugar, magulong tourist destination, so, better pupunta ka sa isang urban tourism. Then last is the volunteerism or volunteer tourism. Travel for charitable or volunteer purposes. So, kung bilang meron mga medical treatments, medical activities, so susama ka, you will be a volunteer. Kung meron namang gift giving, food packing, so pupunta ka, magiging volunteer ka, you will be a volunteer tourist, so nakatulong ka na sa mga tao. And that's all for today. Thank you.